There we go. We got the raid. I'm not going to make a New Year stream today. You know what? I will spend the New Year's with my wife, which means that I'm going to be streaming now a little bit earlier. And then we are going to wish you all a happy New Year, even though I won't be able to do it live. Although for some of you, I may be able to do it. And that's going to be it. I'll probably have to release my other videos, but I'll do my best in order to do it before midnight. Anyway, I did raid, yes, and we're going to talk a little bit about Dev. It's interesting because like Dev asked me, it's like, V, why do you talk about me so much? And I'm like, because people want me to talk about you. Like the moment I'll talk about you, and no one will be interested. I think that there is a reason why people talk about Dev, but they don't talk about Vosh as much. It's because you assume that Vosh is disingenuous, but Dev believes the things he says. So it's like, if someone believes the things they say, it's a lot easier to persuade them than it is someone that you know they don't believe it. And it's like, well, if they don't believe it, there's nothing to be persuaded. You know, like the person just believes what you believe, but... So... I explained it to Dev in a way that I think managed to reach him. Right? We were talking about corruption in the U.S. government, and thank you, Zedif, for the 2024. Oh my God, that 2024. That's funny. I like it. Happy New Year to you as well. So I explained it to Dev. We were talking about corruption in the U.S. government, and he's like, "Well, do you have the smoking gun? Do you have the evidence?" Right? It's like you don't point to a single thing. You usually talk about like a web of things, but there's nothing concrete. And it's true, you know. He asked me like, what would it take for me not to believe that the U.S. government is corrupt? And I said nothing. Like there is nothing you can do to persuade me that the U.S. government is not corrupt. You would have to make a time machine, take me back in time, and make me forget all of the things that I've seen. Like, that is the only possibility. Like, erase the things that I've seen from my mind, right? Like, if you guys remember, when Trump got elected, it was like the Russia collusion scandal, which was a Clinton talking point, the Hillary Clinton campaign, which was then pushed onto the mainstream media, and they went on and on trying to delegitimize his presidency for 2 years. Yeah, you know, like I would have to forget about that. I will have to forget about the fact that the FBI spied on him. Like, before the campaign, right? They spied on an American citizen. Like, there's a lot of things that I would have to forget in order for me to believe that the U.S. government is not corrupt. I would have to forget what happened with Alex Jones. Like, with Alex Jones, it was... when he went to trial, they found him guilty, and then they were just talking about damages, but he wasn't allowed to use free speech as an argument. And then they decided that it is appropriate for him to pay it's almost like the India's GDP, right, to the victims. He didn't have discovery, like he didn't, you know, benefited from that. Yeah, like it's difficult. It is difficult for me to believe that there is no corruption in the U.S. or that things are normal. No. But the example that I gave Dev, in order for him to understand what I'm saying, was, in my opinion, a very competent one, because he saw my point, right? So, I want you guys to imagine the following scenario, right? Close your eyes and imagine the following scenario. You're at a company, and one of your colleagues is transgender. Now, there's another guy that's coming into the office, and this other guy, you know, he goes out of his way in order not to use the transgender's pronouns. He calls the transgender my esteemed colleague. Like, that's how they refer to him every single time, you know? Like let's say her name is Lucy, right? And he never calls Lucy she, her. He always calls Lucy my esteemed colleague. Right? He calls you him. He calls Lisa her. But when it comes to Lucy, he always calls her my esteemed colleague. Okay, would it be safe to assume that this person is taking the piss? Like, this person is mocking Lucy? Would that be safe to assume? any person that's reasonable would say yes. Like, this person is going out of its way in order to be antagonistic towards Lucy, right? Like, using woke ideology as a mindset. I had to. Right? Like, everyone would be like, no. Like, yeah, this person, that doesn't appreciate LGBT ideology, and due to that, due to his political leanings, he doesn't want to use Lucy's pronouns, right? But where's the evidence, though? Like, where's the smoking gun? Like, he never is disrespectful towards Lucy. He never says anything mean to her. He never, right? He just calls her my esteemed colleague. Maybe he just, maybe he just believes that Lucy is indeed the esteemed colleague. Right? I mean, is this not it? Like, is this not a good argument? Like, how do we know? How do we know that he is taking the piss? Well, we know he is taking the piss because we understand the culture at large. Like, we understand the culture war, and we understand that there are other people that go on Reddit and they actively say that this is how they behave towards other trans people, blah, 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 blah. Right? You get the vibe of things, right? Like, you don't have the actual proof. But it is safe to say that, yeah, like if you were to talk with that colleague, it's like, hey, are you fucking with Lucy? You're like, of course I am. Does it make you happy when you see that she's upset? Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like that with the U.S. government, and with most other governments, by the way. It's like you don't have the smoking gun, like you don't. But it's an event here, an event there, another event there, and you can say, well, I think like the difference between a person like Dev and myself is that Dev looks at all of these events separately, and as long as they have like a surface explanation, it's fine. Right? Like if it can be explained at a surface level, then it's okay. To me, it's not okay. To me, all of these events are connected. It shows a series of unacceptable levels of corruption, and therefore I distrust the U.S. government. I distrust the Russian government as well. This is another thing, right? Because I actually asked Dev the following, and this was an interesting conversation. It's like, do you believe that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself? It's a good question, isn't it? Right? Did he do it? Did he kill himself? And he had an interesting answer. He said, maybe, I don't know. It's possible that he did, but it's also possible that he didn't, right? And my counter argument is like, yeah, but like if you had Jeffrey Epstein in Russia, and he had evidence against Putin and Putin's oligarchs, and it's literally the same thing, like he's in a cell, the cameras don't work, the guards are asleep, would you be able to say, no, like you'd say, no, well, of course, I mean, he was assassinated. But if it's in America, it's different. Right? And I guess, like, this is the difference. It's like you're willing to give America the benefit of the doubt. I'm not. I don't give Russia the benefit of the doubt. I don't give Romania the benefit of the doubt. I don't give governments the benefit of the doubt. Like, people have the benefit of the doubt. With an individual, yes, you can be innocent until proven guilty. With the government, I don't even think I need to exercise that. Like, I'm sorry, it's like, oh, where's the smoking gun? Where's the smoking gun? Like, I'm sorry I can't surveil the government, right? Like, when I'll have the same surveillance apparatus to the government, like the government has towards me, then I'll be able to show you the evidence. It's kind of like, again, I like to point out to Russia a lot because it's pretty obvious, like, what a government can do. But in Russia, Prigozhin, right? Like, the plane crash, a lot of people wonder, like, what happened? Well, according to the Russian official sources, is that Prigozhin was playing with a grenade in his private jet because he was under the influence of cocaine, and the grenade exploded, and that's what caused the plane crash. Now, if I was a person that was to simp for Russia, and I would be like, well, of course, I mean, Russia is a bastion of liberal democracy, I would say, well, of course. I mean, unless you show me the evidence, unless you show me the phone call with Vladimir Putin himself ordering the assassination, then that is the official source. I mean, that's what probably happened, isn't it? But how do we know that's not what happened? Well, we know that's not what happened because Russia has a history where like, all of these bizarre events that you put together leads you to assume that it is a corrupt nation. Like that, yeah, because all of the events that are happening, right? Like for instance, you have a person that talks about how good it would be if the government would lose power. And then he gets kidnapped, right? Like, he disappears for a couple of weeks. He appears again, and all of a sudden he's shilling for big government. like, you can't explain that event, you know? Like, maybe he did go on a holiday, he had a little bit to think, was on a private island, he really enjoyed the walks on the beach with the waifu, and then when he came back, he was like, you know what? Maybe the government is actually good. There's no reason to assume that he got taken away by the police and he was asked to sign a couple of papers, and then they showed him like something that they have on him, and it's like, if you don't shill for the government, we're going to make this public. No. How about Trudeau being investigated for ethics violations and not being punished? I mean, well, I haven't followed that, but what I do know with Trudeau, and this like firmly convinced me of Canada and Canadian culture, and I don't need to know anything more, is that when he was caught using blackface, he still got elected. Like, I'm sorry, but this is ridiculous. You have like a country that's like, oh my god, fascism, you guys, fascism is so bad, fascism is and then they decide to go into a tier 15 lockdown, where the prime minister is telling people that you're not allowed to go to a McDonald's unless you show QR code, and you're not allowed to visit your friends and family, and you're going to have to use Zoom calls in order to celebrate Easter. And then literally the same prime minister an hour later or 2 hours later, he takes his entire security detail and goes to visit his fucking family. Right? And the Canadians aren't happy with that. I mean, well, they weren't happy with that, but they weren't protesting either. So, like, you know what? No, like, there's nothing to discuss. When it comes to Canadian morality, spare me. Please spare me. Canadian morality about, like, yeah, sure, you know, like, you can talk to a Canadian. You can talk to a Canadian about morality. But to talk with Canadians as people, as like the entire society, and get lecture of morality from them, no, they should get lecture of morality from Eastern Europe. Some buyer's remorse for Big Papa V. Why, thank you, Justice. Raining terror, V. Have some money before the new year in America. I appreciate that. More Canadians are starting to wake up to Trudeau's corruption. I'll see it when I'll believe it when I'll see it. I think the Chinese will get him once he's out of office. Apparently the Indians are having problem with Trudeau as well. It's going to be bad. Yeah, it's going to be bad for him if he doesn't manage to retain the position of Prime Minister. They rolled out the concept of leveled emergencies on us. The most disgusting thing that happened during the pandemic, okay? Like, if you want to roll it back, the most disgusting thing was to separate society on essential and non-essential people. Like, that is the most disgusting thing. And again, it's like the government that gets to decide what is essential and what is non-essential, right? And they believe that if you have a kiosk, like if you're a poor individual and you have like your mom and pop's shop, you're non-essential. But you know who's essential? Amazon is. Amazon was very essential. The whole thing where you had, I think it was in California, yeah, in San Francisco. Like there was this restaurant owner, she got shut down, right? Because pandemic, I mean, hey, there's nothing they can do. Like, they wouldn't allow any way for her to open her business. Literally across the street. Like, this was a scandal that got swept away. But literally across the fucking street, there was another restaurant which was operating at full capacity. No masks, no nothing. Why? Because they were shooting a movie. So I guess, like, COVID didn't spread if you were shooting a movie. The whole thing is like, okay, so the mainstream media during COVID gets to make money hand over fist with the pandemic, right? I will even talk about short selling in a little bit, but like the idea that, oh, so we're going to make sure that people who aren't essential stay at home. Okay, you know what? The news may be essential. Like, you do need the news in order to stay up to date with recent events. But why did the late night comedians get to be essential? Why do people who make entertainment get to be essential? They weren't fucking essential. And by the way, here's another example, right? When the pandemic first started, like, you get to see it in China. You got to see it on TikTok videos and on small streams. it showed just how bad it is, right? Like in China, that they were in Wuhan, an entire city being under a lockdown. Like you'd see that at the time, and it was bewildering. It was like, what the fuck, Like they'll never do something like that here. I mean, I'm so glad I don't live under a communist dictatorship. I mean, look, like the concept that you get to lock people in their homes to shut down their businesses. Oh my God, that was in 2019, at the end of 2019. I was looking at that horrified. I was like, Jesus Christ. Some people, like myself, we knew that it was going to come here. Because I was like, okay, well, what are they saying about this virus? What are they saying about it? It was called the China virus at the time. What are they saying about it? Well, they're saying about it that you have a incubation period of 2 weeks where you have no symptoms. And then all of a sudden you experience the symptoms and it's bad. And I was like, well, there's no way that stays in China. Like, the world is too interconnected. Like, it's going to come here. There's no way you can stop it. And I made a couple of videos back then. If you consider that, if you said that it's going to go out of China, you are a conspiracy theorist, a racist. You're racist towards Asian people. Like, there were, I think, like, Vice magazine made an article saying that cleanliness is white supremacy. There were many restaurant owners that were Asian going on CNN saying because of this, like, they're not getting any business. And those racist fucks, like, why don't they come to my restaurant so I can take their money? Like, it's just like the most bizarre arguments ever made, right? And you had the Democrats having like a Hug an Asian Day in New York. We all need to hug together, and right? Meanwhile, myself, I went on YouTube and I said, look, this is bad. It's going to come here. What you need to do is not panic. And I told people, buy hand sanitizer. Buy a couple of hand wipes, right? Make sure you have tissues, stock up on medicine, like things that lower down fever and temperature, vitamins. Like that's what I said. That's what I, make sure that you start cleaning your hands more often. I didn't say that you need to buy toilet paper. That is something that I didn't predict. But other than that, I predicted almost everything, right? Now, there were other people who went even further than I. There were people who bought hand sanitizer by the dozen. So there were people that invested money and bought crates of hand sanitizer. Like, they filled an entire garage of fucking hand sanitizer, right? And when COVID hit, those people were like, okay, well, I'm going to sell the hand sanitizer that I bought for 5 times the price because there's a shortage. Oh my God, the left freaked out. Oh, how can you take advantage? Oh, you don't do that. Oh, that. And I was like, motherfucker, you people who listen to CNN, who listen to all of these other places that said COVID wasn't coming, if those places were true, if they had the point, that man would have been stuck with the garage filled of hand sanitizer. Like, that was a risk investment, right? And he also does a public service because now he puts hand sanitizers to people who desperately need it, aka doctors and nurses, right? Like, you really want hand sanitizer? Like, fine, you're going to pay 5 times the price for it because it's a shortage. All of a sudden, it's a rare thing. You don't have it. But, unfortunately, right? No, like, you're not allowed to do that. The only people that were allowed to profit were, number one, the politicians that knew that businesses would be shut down, so they started short selling. Like, you guys remember what happened with hedge funds managers that were now losing money because people were short selling online, GME stocks and other shit. And again, like, the people weren't right to do that. No. It's like, only the hedge fund managers can profit off a crisis. And then you had the media that could profit off it. Like, they could go like, oh, COVID cases, COVID deaths, COVID, now watch the commercials. It was so disgusting. It was unbelievably disgusting. Thank you all for the content over the past years. Keep me sane and brings a smile on my face. Thank you, Zenothia. Giving government the benefit of the doubt is like getting next to a tiger, taking a selfie, expecting everything to turn out okay. Maybe at first people taking a selfie leads to nothing. Happy New Year's. Well, thank you. That actually does remind me. Every single time I see a person taking a photo next to a tiger or a lion, I'm like, this is how live leak videos start, isn't it? Like, if you go on the internet, as long as I do, like, you'll notice that this is a trend. It eventually ends up with, like, you see like these live leak videos, and whenever you see one with animals, some of them, you know, you can say, oh shit, you know, if that happened to me, that would be awful. Like, oh my god. You know, like someone walks in the woods and all of a sudden there's a cougar there or something. It's like, oh, Jesus. You know, like... But the other people, they do certain things that I'm not worried. Because I know I will never do them, so I'll never be put in that position. I will never be in that situation. When you decide to go next to a tiger and antagonize the beast. And yes, like taking a selfie next to a tiger is considered antagonizing it. It's just like, it's a wild animal. It's a cat that's bigger than you. Leave it the fuck alone. Don't go near it, don't talk to it, don't pet it, no. Don't put it in a cage. Unless it's a zoo, you know, like if it's a live link video with a guy that's actually going with his family in the zoo, and the tiger escapes the zoo, then that's different. Because that would be like, oh shit, you know, that's, well, I mean, the zookeeper is responsible. But if you're talking to me about like a guy that goes to the tiger cage and starts antagonizing the tiger, spitting on it, poking it, there's literally a video, like I see this live link video with a guy that is trying to poke a lion. I don't fucking know why, but at one point the lion bites his finger off, and I'm like, you know, I'm watching this video and I'm not even cringing, because I know, like, at no point will I be in that person's shoes. Like, there is nothing that you can do to convince me to go poke a live lion. No, just, you know, like in order to have empathy for a person, you have to be able to put yourself in their shoes. It's like, how would you feel if this happened to you, right? So, like, if you're showing me a person that crosses the street and a car rams into them, I'm like, ugh, right? Because I think, like, well, that could happen to me. That could happen to my loved ones, right? But if you're showing me a person that's poking a bear, and then at one point the bear snaps, I'm like, well, I mean, that would never happen to me. That I don't even know. Like, I do not even have the ability to understand how that is like. I remember that government took people's stuff when they started scalping. Also, during the time when people were shorting GameStop and movie theaters, like Robinhood reverse trades. Yeah, it's interesting how people forget how fast that happens, you know? And it's interesting how only the mainstream media creates outrage. Like these levels of outrage, in my opinion, are more warranted than the fact that someone said the N-word on Twitter. But it is what it is. Like, what can you do? Please don't forget that before the lockdowns, Chinese companies in the West were buying masks and sending them back to China. Dude, in Australia, they did that. And not only did they did that, but apparently there is paper trail that shows that the CCP was telling the Chinese companies in Australia to stop doing what they are doing and to just buy masks and send them back to China. And then there were other cases where companies bought masks from China and they got faulty masks and ones that weren't up to standard. All of these scandals just went away. Never happened. You know, they didn't take place. The monkey wars haven't started? I don't know. There was, by the way, I want to tell people about something which is happening on the internet, and I'm noticing it so many fucking times that it's becoming tiresome. What is this YouTuber's name? Tectone, yes, Tectone. He's part of the new bandwagon where it's like, anime, like, you look at the Genshin Impact girl and you think pedophilia. I mean, that's an interesting take, right? It's kind of like looking at the GTA trailer and thinking murder. But you know, it's his take, whatever. The thing that I don't understand about people like Tectone, which apparently now is cleaning up his follower list because he was following a lot of Japanese artists that were drawing the type of characters that he complains about. The thing that I don't get, right? Like, let's assume that there are individuals out there that cannot differentiate fact from fiction. Like their brain is wired differently. They are unable to differentiate, right? Like if they see an anime girl that's like a futa, right? Like it's an anime girl with a penis. If they get attracted to that, they think they may be gay. I don't know like how it works exactly, but they're like unable to separate a drawing from a real person, right? Like if you show them, like for them AI isn't necessary because a drawing is already hyper realistic. Like there's no reason to have like any further knowledge in the terms of AI. Like to them, if you make a stick figure and you draw a penis on it, that's child pornography, right? Okay, but so I will go with that premise. It's like, okay, if you have like a drawing, then that is CP, right? If it's a drawing of something that represents a child, you see it as a child, so therefore you think it's CP. Then why in the name of Christ, when you come across what you consider to be child pizza on the internet, you show it to your audience? Like that is your first instinct, right? Like you're coming across Hatsune Miku being naked in the shower, right? Hatsune Miku, I understand she's 16. Okay. So your first thing is like, oh my god, this is so awful. Let me show it to all my audience. Like if I were to come across of I don't know, like an underage picture on the internet, I would fucking report it and then pray to God I didn't commit a crime. You know, like let's say you're scrolling Twitter, right? And as you're scrolling Twitter, like this never happened, but let's assume that it would, right? You're scrolling Twitter and you see a minor that's naked. And what do? You report it, right? Like you don't show it to your audience. Yeah, you don't take screenshots of it, you don't tinker with it, you don't poke it, you don't touch it, you report it, you move the fuck on. Which goes to show that these people are either built differently, let's put it like in a more interesting way, because again, like if you think that something is child pizza, like that is the normal human response, right? You report it and then you move on. You do not show it to your audience, or they know it's not child pizza. Yeah, like literally, check out this awful CP, everyone. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Yeah, like the last thing you do is retweet it. Holy shit. It's just so bizarre, isn't it? You know, it's kind of like, finding a dead body, right? Like, let's say you find a dead body. You're walking on the street and all of a sudden you find this mutilated corpse. Do you take it to show it to your mother? Like, hey mom, look what I found. Isn't this horrible, mom? Like, look, it's disgusting, isn't it? Oh, hello, bipedal species. Welcome to the show. The word you are looking for is lying. No, the word I'm looking for, I will tell you what's happening. November and December are usually low views for YouTubers, right? Because in November and December, a lot of people spend time with family. A lot of people are doing other things. However, it is also very profitable because the money for advertisement grows during these 2 months. Because most companies, like, they want to pay more, they want to advertise more. So you get more money for ads. And then you get less on January and February. Like it's true for all the businesses. So you have YouTubers that have like less viewers, but they can make more money per view. So they're being desperate now. They're trying like, how can I stay relevant? How can I, right? So they talk about these controversial shits that they don't believe in, but they know it sparks the public. And I was like, oh my god, oh, this is outrageous. Let me go there and blah blah blah. That's what's happening, right? It's a grift. It's a grift. Like you can't tell me that a YouTuber that on Twitter follows Japanese artists, which are renowned for drawing the type of characters that they claim to hate, and then they go around and they're like, how is this possible? Let me show you. Let me show you how evil it is. Do you see it? Do you see it? It's gross, isn't it? I mean, you need to, pass it through the filter. You need to think a little bit about what's going on. Is that mysterious, There were other people that tried to checkmate me and say, well, V, isn't it the same with the gay, the boot sex in the Senate, right? Like a lot of conservatives were showing boot sex in the Senate. And they found the picture and then they were showing it around. And I think the difference is that most people that were showing this picture around, like, first of all, they're not saying that boot sex should be illegal. What they are saying is that you shouldn't film it in the Senate, right? So it's not like the picture itself is the problem. It's the act of filming it in the Senate that's the problem. That is the difference, right? Like, the video itself, like, I, as a grown man, I obviously think that it shouldn't be shown to children, despite the fact that it was in the American Senate. But it's not that I mean, the video is something that I wouldn't watch, because I'm not interested in that type of thing, you know, it's not my kink. But I don't have a problem, like, I don't try to remove all of those types of videos from the internet, right? Like, the video isn't the issue. The issue, it's kind of like, okay, look, if a straight couple has sex in the hospital, right? So the doctor and the nurse, if they have sex in the hospital, the problem isn't the fact that that straight people have sex. Like, that's not what bothers me, right? Let's say, you know what? From a Christian standpoint, let's say that a doctor and a nurse who are happily married, they're together, right? Like the holy matrimony and all the shebang, and they're having sex in the hospital with the purpose of procreation, right? So according to the Bible, there's no sin. According to the Bible, there is no sin, right? Like, if you and your wife are making love with the purpose of procreation, I don't think in the Bible, I would really want to see a Christian disagreeing with me, that the Bible also tells you the location where it needs to happen, right? Like, if you're having a moment of intimacy with your wife, but it happens to be in a hospital, right? So when the doctor is on call, he does it with the nurse. He doesn't film it, right? There's no one there. But someone finds out, right? Like, let's say another person opens the door and they find out, like, cushy. Okay? Like even from a Christian perspective, what happened, I don't think is sinful. But from a social perspective, it is unacceptable. You're not supposed to fuck on the job. Like, there is a time and place, okay? And even if God allows it, society can, right, put some rules that even Jesus himself didn't think about. Is that, no, I don't even think it's the letter of the law versus the spirit of the law. In this situation, I generally don't even know how to classify it, but like, with all my knowledge of the Bible and with all my interpretation, I genuinely do not think it's sinful if people have sex at work. However, just because the Bible doesn't ban it and it's not a sin, I do not think that it is socially acceptable. V is talking from experience. Man, every single hospital has people fucking in. Like, do you not understand that being a doctor means that you're glued to the hospital? Like, you don't really have any private life. If doctors were fired every single time they were fucking in the hospital, like, there would be no more doctors. I mean, no, seriously, think about it this way, right? You go to the hospital at 6 a.m. in the morning. You have to be there. And then if you're on call, you have to be there until the next day at 4 p.m., and then you go home at 4 p.m. the next day, so that's like 32 hours. And when you go home, you sleep a little bit, and the next day you're back to the hospital. Like, that's your life. You're glued to it. Some of them work even Saturdays. So I do understand if some doctors fuck at the hospital. Like, that's fine. But at least do it so you don't get caught. Outside of marriage? No, because I even specified if the doctor and the nurse is married. Right? So the doctor and the nurse is married. They're not filming it. They're doing it in the hospital. Let's say in a closet. And someone opens the closet door and stumbles on them. Right? And they're doing it with the purpose of procreation as well. Like, they're not using a condom. They're not using anything. Like, they want to have a child. It's not a sin. Like, I would, seriously, any Christian that can give me the biblical argument on why that is sinful, I'm willing to listen. But I don't think it is. American Outlier. He's a religious-oriented individual. Maybe he can tell me. Hi, V. Hope you're having a blessed new year. Thank you. I wish the same to you. You close the door and move on. Like, yeah, but then you file a complaint. Because usually you want the job. Either of the nurse or the doctor. So you're pretending to be outraged. Well, actually, it depends. You know, it depends how much you like that particular doctor. If you don't like the doctor, you're like, oh my god, this is horrible. How can this happen? How are we allowing it? If you allow the doctor, you're like, oh my god, like, right? It's very subjective. Coconut tackle lewd. Sex is viewed as sinful because it can lead to actual sins. No, sex is not viewed as sinful. Like, I'm sorry. That is... Even the Bible differentiates. Like, the Orthodox priest believes that sex serves two functions. Number one is reproduction, and the second function that it serves is to form a stronger bond between the couple, between the husband and the wife. No, like in the Bible, sex is sinful if you do it outside of marriage, if you do it in public, right? If you videotape it, like that, there is an argument of videotaping, because videotaping it causes lust, and lust is a sin. So you're trying to get other people to commit sin. Right? Like, there is an argument for that, but the one that I gave, like, I knew specifically, look, I know my Christianity. Not a lot of it, a little bit, right? But like, the argument that I gave was not sinful, 100% not sinful. If you have an affair with the new nurse, that's sinful, but that's not what we're talking about. I said that you are married with the nurse, right? So the doctor and the nurse are happily married. They find a discreet place, which is, I don't know, a storeroom, a locker room, right? It's discreet. And they're doing it with the purpose of procreation. That is not sinful. There's nothing in the Bible is against that. However, socially speaking, right, from a societal point of view, just because it's not against the word of God doesn't mean that it's unacceptable. The Lord watching while you're recording. The sin is breaking the employment contract by doing sex where you agreed you wouldn't. I read the employment contract. It doesn't talk about that. It's like one of those things when it's kind of understood. So you know what? I'll even make the argument more interesting. Let's say that the employment contract doesn't mention sex, but it's like one of those things where it's like, it's kind of understandable that you're not supposed to do it. Like, it's kind of common sense, even though it's not mentioned. But like, again, it's not mentioned that you're not supposed. And even then, like, that would be a minor sin. Right? Like if you're breaking the employment contract and you're taking like 5 minutes so that you buy some food and you're not supposed to. I mean, sure, it's a sin, but it's not like a sin that's going to get you to burn in hell, It's very unspoken. I want to see the contract. It probably does say that. It usually says something like you have to follow the rules of conduct, but again, it's like, I think like what the reason that it's a violation is because it's kind of like committing a crime. Like okay, so I'm thinking like a lawyer now. Why is Pippa doing towers in my chat? I'm trying to think like a lawyer. If you're caught, at least in my country, according to Romanian law, like I don't know about the US law, but if you're caught with your wife having sex in a hospital, that is public indecency, right? So you're basically committing the crime of public indecency, and that's why they fire you. So they're not firing you for breaking the contract. They're firing you because you're or obscene gestures in public, like the different nationalities like classify this differently, but it's basically within that area. Not to mention they will say, well, it's not befitting to a doctor, blah blah blah. Usually, again, it's how much people like that particular doctor. Like if you're a friend with the doctor, you're not going to cause a stink. But if you don't like him or you want his job, you go to the HR lady and you're like, oh my god, that was horrible. That was so unacceptable. Do you know what he did? Oh, I saw him in the storeroom. Oh my god, he was groping the... Oh my god. Yes, there were Pipa Towers. Indecency in which public? Most hospitals are considered public places. Unless it's a private hospital. But even in a private hospital, like for instance, if I start masturbating at my window, right? If people in the public can see it, then it is a problem. Like, you're still committing a crime. So technically, I am in my house, but if the people on the street can see it, even though I'm on my house, it's still... Well, do you like the background of Vtubing, or do you, it's with the Christmas spirit? I was referring to the mandatory kind in the Catholic Church. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't do a DSP. Yeah, like what DSP did. Oh, that's a good idea as well. Yeah, like pointing out the difference with streaming, right? Like if you're streaming, it's in the public, even though you're doing it from the privacy of your own house. Pipa is my first VTuber Oshi. I can't thank you enough for her. I have gained many hours of enjoyment for her design. You know, like, that's good. That is really good. I'm glad that people took my advice and watched Pipkin Pipa. And to see her grow is so wholesome. And this is due to the fact that when I first promoted her, I think she had like 200 viewers or 100 viewers. Like she was like very niche, you know, super niche. And now to see her with 4,000 viewers, it's really nice. And when I say to see her grow, it's also due to the fact that in the beginning she literally was like incapable of stringing a sentence if someone else was on a stream with her. Like, she was, I'm not going to say autistic, but she had like this problem interacting with the public. She was very secluded, let's put it like that, right? She had social anxiety. So if you watch some of her previous streams, whenever she had the guest on, she would lock down. Like, she would not be able to say anything. She was like, zip. And to see now that she's got like 4,000 viewers and she's very extroverted and she knows exactly what to say and how to be entertaining, it's very wholesome. Thank you, V. I forgot about the policewoman that looked like a squirrel. Now, where is the VTuber avatar to match your background? I should actually get a VTuber avatar. That is a statue of Soviet leader Lenin in Seattle's Fremont neighborhood. The community claims that the statue is a landmark and an object of curiosity representing the quirk nature of the artistic neighborhood. Yeah. I'm pretty sure if there was a statue of Hitler or Goebbels, they would react the same. It's literally like our tyrants are better than your tyrants, you know? It's like our dictators are the ones that you should worship. I mean, dude, literally everything that they complain about, you know, like homophobia, transphobia, and they go down and they destroy statues. They never do that with the statue of Che Guevara. Now you can go on Wikipedia and you can see what Che Guevara did. He finds himself in an embassy, and he notices that the person he's talking with has a book by a gay poet. And Che Guevara in disgust takes that book, and it's like, why do you bring me this nonsense written by a F word? A bundle of sticks. And he throws that book in a wall, right? And then I see people in the United States who have the LGBT flag on their armband and the Che Guevara t-shirt. And you gotta wonder, is it because they genuinely don't know? Or is it because they know but they don't care? Like, which one is it? It's so fucking bizarre. It's pretty much like the gays for Palestine type of thing. I mean, yeah, sure, you have gays for Palestine, but do you have Palestines for gays? That's the question. Here's a perfect example. There was an individual 2 days ago, a Warhammer 40k content creator, and he had this thing where he posted like the anti-fascist logo, and he was saying that he's against fascism and fascists don't have a place in Warhammer 40k. But he also had the Palestinian flag next to his name. So he's anti-fascist and has the Palestinian flag. And I'm like, okay, so you support the country that democratically elected a fascist government, which banned elections, is not very pro-LGBT, doesn't like Jews very much. And when you look at the support rating that Palestine has for Hamas now, it's pretty high, right? So you're an anti-fascist, but like you support some types of fascism. How does that work? You know, it's the thing that happened this year, and I forgot to mention it in this week is stupid because this one is actually very interesting. You have like these left-leaning people that really didn't like what's his name? Kanye West, right? Kanye West was problematic. Why was Kanye West problematic? Oh, because he spoke against Jewish people. Okay, so Kanye West was anti-Semitic, and this is why they really dislike Kanye West. You know, fair enough. But I'll tell you this. There are people at Harvard that said more anti-Semitic things than Kanye West could have ever done. Like, Kanye West was saying anti-Semitic shit, part of it because he had like a couple of interesting advisors. He had Nick Fuentes and Milo as his advisor. Both Nick Fuentes, Milo, and Kanye West together aren't capable of coming up with as much anti-Semitic shit as I heard from the university coming out in recent months. They're not capable. Like, no, you need a university professor to be able to have like this level of anti-Semitism. So basically, like, why did they get canceled then? Because they weren't anti-Semitic enough? Like, they were shaming the actual anti-Semitics from the university? Like, dude, you know, it's kind of like when you're trying to have, like, good arguments, but you have, like, some people that aren't really helping, and it's like, well, you know, like, your arguments are kind of shit, you know, like, just fuck off. Was it too early? Was that part of the problem? Why did Louis Farrakhan get canceled? I mean, the squad probably said things a little bit more edgy than Louis Farrakhan at this point. Kanye loves things. Oh my god, honestly, that video where Kanye West made Alex Jones feel uncomfortable, that was chef's kiss. Like, I didn't care about what Kanye was saying, but looking at the faces and the grimaces that Alex Jones was doing, what was just unbelievable. It's like, and you can see that Alex Jones was like trying to make Kanye sound reasonable, or let me put it this way. He was trying to make Kanye like not come out as an anti-Semite. And Kanye was like, no, Jones, no. I am. Like that video. I'm so sorry that I didn't save it because I can't find it, but it is so fucking good. It's like best video that came out this year. You know, it's like seeing Alex Jones like looking like a puppy, you know, like pleading. It's like, please, Kanye, please say you don't think all. And Kanye was like, but I do think all. What was funny? Hello, Tomcat. Welcome to the show. I think like the video that was more funny than that was Alex Jones and Cenk Uygur. Like both of those videos were funny. Yeah, I mean, you can say this was a crazy year. I think we can even pinpoint what year this is going to be of. It's going to be the year of AI. Like, unironically, this is the year of artificial intelligence. I don't know how else to call it. But it was the year where I saw for the first time a bot that types like a person. To the point where you can't make a difference. Like, you can't differentiate. And there are websites where you get to talk with chatbots, which aren't as good. And you have to figure out if it's a chatbot or a real human. You can't. I think the people here in Seattle are just into being edgy for edginess sake. I would believe that when they have a Hitler statue. When they have a Hitler statue, I will believe it. There was another Jones Uygur encounter. No. It's the one where Jimmy got his name. The Viper. Jimmy the Viper of Dor. He had amazing aim, though. You know, like, if I try to spit on someone on a short notice, like, sometimes the spit clings to my mouth. I don't have like that good aim with spitting, but not Jimmy. Not Jimmy. Like Jimmy, he went like target acquire, patui, and it hit. Jimmy does good range damage. Like, patui. Cenk Uygur presidency would be a nightmare. I don't think he can do worse than Biden. I don't think he can do worse. He may take some Qatarian money, but that's pretty much it. Jimmy the Velociraptor. No, Velociraptors don't spit, dude. He was like a spitting cobra, yes. You know how in what's that TV show? It's quite popular. Karate Kid, right? In Karate Kid, like they do the crane. Jimmy does the cobra. But by the way, you know, like Alex Jones doesn't have the same reflexes. Let's put it like in Matrix, you know, to dodge the spit. It was unfair, chat. It was an unfair battle. Cenk's presidency would be daily speech. You know what I think, chat? You know what I think? I think the president don't really matter. It's all about an act, isn't it? Like most politicians, they do the same shit. They go and they read stuff from a prompter. The Biden presidency has completely convinced me that a lot of it is smoke and mirrors. You know, maybe once in a while we can get a president like the Argentinian one. Sure, you know. But it's so fucking rare, isn't it? All politicians are like this now. They just read from a prompter, and that's their job. That's their job. It's being an actor. There was a president, wasn't it? Like, there was a president that used to be an actor. I forgot in which country. But he was basically asked by the media, it's like, how is it like going from actor to president? Isn't it harder? And he said, like, well, it would have been harder if I didn't be an actor before being a president. Like, think about it. This is literally all you do. Right? Like, what do you do as a president? What do you do? You go in front of a camera, and you got a script that's made by your PR team. Like, you're not even writing it yourself. You gotta look presidential. There's people that teach you with the hand gestures that you need to make. Like, there was a documentary that showed, like, the team that was teaching Obama how to make hand gestures. And they were saying it's, like, why they're so powerful. And it's stuff like when you talk, it's like when you say we, you gotta put your hands together. It's like we, the people, you know, and like put your hands and pull them here. When you point, there's ways to point. It's like this, you know, there's different things that you need to do. It's like, it's down to a fucking science to know how to have like the most maximum, like you're doing now, like the most maximum impact when you're talking to the audience. And it's like, oh God, spare me. V, have a happy new year. I hope you get more money for your game is successful and you do more D&D streams. I do hope, you know, like, it's not about being successful. I hope the people that play the game enjoy it. That's the most important thing. Zelensky. I will tell you this, you know, like, a lot of people are making fun of Zelensky. I disagree. You know, put yourself in his shoes. Like, you're in Ukraine, the Russians are coming. Any sane person would have fled the country. No, like, ironically, you know, like at the time, I mean, if the Russians catch him, they will probably execute him. Like, I have no doubt in my mind, if Zelensky gets caught by the Russian military, he's going to get executed. Like, they're going to have a show trial or whatever, right? There's no way they let him go. Right? And I want you to put yourself into the shoes of Zelensky. I don't care, like, if you believe he's an actor or a propaganda. No. But I think about it this way, right? The Russians are coming. The fucking... Look at the map. Look how big Russia is and compare it to Ukraine. Right? You have a choice. You can flee the country. He didn't flee the country. I have respect for that. Like, that is... You know, say whatever... You know, like, he's a puppet of the Americans. He's corrupt. He's whatever. But, like, the fact that he didn't flee the country... That takes massive balls. That takes testicular cancer. Like any other person would have fled. Right? Like, even if that person was a puppet, even if that person was, like, placed there, appointed, whatever you have. Like, Coach Red Pill didn't flee. I guess there's two people. Coach Red Pill and Zelensky. Which one is more courageous, huh? Ukraine is big, too. Do you want me to pull up a map? Hold on. Population. Russia. Russia has a 143 million population. Now let's look at Ukraine. 38 million. Okay? You're a country with 40 million people fighting off against an invading country that has 143. Obviously, like, not everyone goes mobilized. I get it. And, you know, being the defender is also advantageous. Sure. But you're in a country with 38 million people getting invaded by another that's almost, what was it, like 5 times your size? Yeah? No, say, like, unless you're a patriot and you genuinely believe in the cause or you genuinely think you win, you're going to stay. And any other person would have fled. I think, like, even the Americans were bewildered because I was actually following the conversations that were happening up till that point. The Americans believed that the Ukrainians are going to have a guerrilla war against the Russians, and they were to fund the guerrillas. They didn't expect that Ukraine would hold. Like, you know, the conflict in Ukraine is a lot more complex than the left believes it and then the right believes it. He literally goes to the front lines to visit the troops. That's not necessarily that impressive. Like first of all, I don't know if he actually went to the front lines. I don't believe everything I see on the television, okay? Especially not during a military conflict. There's propaganda on both sides. Like if you're in a military conflict and you're not doing propaganda, what the fuck is wrong with you? So I don't know if he actually went to the front lines. But the fact that he stayed in the country, he did stay in the country. And that is like massive, just... Ronald Reagan was an actor turned president. Harry Truman is the only president to have HS diploma education and still run the country. Andrew Jackson was the first populist president because he wasn't part of the Founding Fathers Club. Why do you know so much trivia? I know that you studied history and stuff, but that wow. My God, like, American history is kind of boring. I'm not going to... Look, no disrespect. I know, this is especially that you gave me a super chat, but like, holy fuck, it's like remembering names of people. You know, like, European history is more interesting. It's like the Huns came. You know, you had the Huns, and like, what tactics did they use? What battles did they have? And then you have like the Roman Empire, and everyone thinks about the Roman Empire, right? And then it's like the Soviet Union came, and the Russians, and, you know, like, fascismus and communismus. But then it's like American history. Ronald Reagan, what did he do? The diploma, populist president, blah, blah, blah. It's like, too much talk about people. People are boring. You know, events are interesting. America has some events, don't get me wrong. Like you guys, like what do you have as cool events? You got the War of Independence. I mean, that's cool, right? You got another War of Civil War. I guess that's interesting as well. It's not as interesting as World War I or World War II, but it is interesting. I mean, you guys went to World War I and World War II as well. But you don't have, like, the imperial era. You know, like, colonizing other people, sending your boats, sending your fucking navy to distant lands, taking and taking. I mean, that's fucking awesome. You know, that's what the British did. Social justice activists blame you for it. But it's the British and the Norwegians and the Dutch. And they go there and they start taking things because you can. You know, the same atheists, like the Reddit atheists, they will look at a picture of a lion that's killing a gazelle, and they will say, oh, it's natural selection. But then they look at the British Empire and they go, oh, racism. The Battle of Wounded Knee. American outlier, if I actually know what happened at the Battle of Wounded Knee, what was it? Decisive victory for the Americans, wasn't it? I understand that the people at Wounded Knee even got decorations. Like, it's only up until recently that post-mortem they got stripped of their decorations. Jesus. You know, there are a couple of pages of history. I'm not going to lie. Like rarely do I get shocked by history. But when you get to the Battle of Wounded Knee, you're like, holy fuck. America has the Treaty of Tripoli. When they Turkified. Turkified? See, you managed to give me a trivia that even I don't know about. Oh yeah, Manifest Destiny, that was kind of cool. Um, if it was so easy, everybody would have done it. Yeah. I love this explanation. Like, if it was so easy, everybody would have done. That is correct. January 6th is a few days away. My God, you know, I've been told by someone that there was like someone that planted explosives on January 6th, but it was caught on camera, and apparently nothing happened, and it got memory hold. Oh, it did happen. Right. Oath Keeper members brought explosives to the DC area on January 6th. You know what I think? This is my opinion, just like conspiratorial stuff. But I think that the rhetoric they're having for January 6th, and the rhetoric is quite insane, isn't it? It's like deranged, I would say. It's like, oh, it's worse than 9/11. It's like, all that rhetoric would make sense if explosives would have gone off. It's almost like, you know, like someone from a PR company who wrote the text that the politicians are reading as if that did happen. It's just an observation. I'm not saying anything. It's just interesting because you look at the video footage and then you listen to the rhetoric that the politicians are saying, and it's a little bit metaphorical, isn't it? It's like a script for a different event. Yeah, it's like watching a movie that's using a different script. Like the actors, they're dressed differently, the action is different, and they're saying stuff that doesn't make sense. It's like the translations for the movie. It's like localizers. It's like localizers got in charge of the anime. No, it's not that someone didn't follow the script. It's like watching an anime that's mistranslated. It's kind of like that. It just doesn't make sense. You're looking at it and you're like, well, hold on a little bit. Like, where's the 9/11? Well, what are you talking about? You know, like, people died on 9/11. That doesn't make sense. Why is it like that? Why are they saying that? It's like they're saying, you know, they're talking about a completely different event. That's my take. The agents got caught by the local police. My God, can you imagine if you're a FBI agent and you're on an inside job and you get caught by the police and then you have to explain? You're looking at an anime with footage missing. That is also, yeah, like that is a good explanation too. It's like there's a part of the movie that's missing. But it did get memory hold, didn't it? Like that's the thing. I see the articles, like they're still there. I mean, it's on CNN, right? Like CNN reports about it. Fox News reports about it. Even The Atlantic talks about it. Right? Like it's heavily reported. But then it just gets memory hold. Right? So there's people that had pipe bomb. I mean, look at this. Right? Like they're showing in the media, they're showing the explosives, that they're showing the guy with the explosives that was caught on camera. Right? It's still a mystery, like who plays the bombs and everything like that. Like it's in the media, but all of a sudden it just boop, drops from the radar. And again, like my point, I'm not saying anything, but when you're a politician and you make a claim and you're saying this is worse than 9/11, like, okay, yeah, if there was a bomb that destroyed the building, yeah, like sure, then you can make that claim then, right? You can say it's an insurrection as well. It's like, well, there was an explosion, like look what they were doing. Like you can make those claims in that situation, in that scenario. But given what happened, like how can you compare January 6th with 9/11? Like, right? So it's almost like they're reading a script for a different movie, is what people said. And it's Anyway, right, I should go and get ready to celebrate the New Year's with my waifu. So, Happy New Year's for those of you who live in different time zones. Maybe I'll stream later on, but it's press X to doubt. Happy New Year's for you. Thank you for the super chats. I hope the new year is going to be better, even though we're getting close to 2030, when I understand we will own nothing and be happy. Maybe the happiness can come sooner before we own nothing, huh? But other than that, I appreciate that you're watching my channel. Hopefully I'll manage to entertain you guys for another year, if I'm still going to be here. And if I manage to release my game, hopefully you guys will enjoy it. So,